Hello everyone, this is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, and King Dio. With the recent news that's making the news rounds that Nintendo has achieved such a high degree of best-selling titles in Japan, they're regularly selling every single title on the top 30 list. It has been a Nintendo Switch game. With that kind of news making the rounds among internet communities, of course, the Snoys are in full damage control mode, and they have officially come up with a narrative. They have officially come up with a cope. They are coping with their massive loss regarding the situation by saying that the reason that Nintendo Switch is dominating these specific sales charts is because of they're only counting physical sales. That's right. According to the Snoys, everyone is buying all of their PS5 games digitally. Like, digital purchases are so popular, they somehow eclipsed all. The PlayStation audience has completely stopped buying physical games entirely. They're completely done with that shit. No Amazon purchases, no retail stores like that's too outdated for the Snoys. No, everyone is buying games digitally, which explains why the unpopular Nintendo Switch is doing well in Japan. Also, the reason that nobody is buying PS5s is because no one is able to find any because they're just so popular. The cope is real. The cope is absolutely real. Like, Snoys are like coping harder. Well, coping almost as hard as like Biden supporters, right? Like, they can't deal with the fact that like their entire narrative is crumbling. It's falling apart. So they have to like come to even more ridiculous conclusions and come up with more and more ridiculous conspiracies and more ridiculous narratives. Like, I remember back in the day when like you had Daniel Ahmed trying to tell people that like Sony was pulling more revenue through PSN alone than Nintendo, like all of Nintendo made, and like it turned out he was being extremely disingenuous, and like they were making money on like all these apps that they had to pay out to like all these companies involved. It wasn't the same fucking thing. Okay, he was comparing like Nintendo's total gross income with like Sony's total revenue generated or some shit like that. Like it was a narrative invented to make PlayStation look good, essentially. Like it was a lie. It wasn't true. We're seeing that now. We're seeing that more and more. Like, where's the evidence that Sony is selling all of their games digitally? And for another thing, you're acting like Nintendo doesn't sell their games digitally either. Like, Nintendo games are more popular than ever digitally. Like, I myself bought Animal Crossing digitally because that was the one game I bought during the pandemic when I still thought it was real. Like, that was my digital purchase. Now, you can and plus I wanted to get Animal Crossing digitally anyway. Like, people are buying Nintendo games digitally. Like, I could be buying No More Heroes 3 right now, and I could have been playing it already. But no, I wanted to get it physically, so I'm waiting a couple of hours. Like this idea that, oh man, like everyone's buying games digitally now. Like, it just isn't true. Like, there's no evidence for it. There's no reason to believe that. Like, Snoys simply cannot handle the fact that they're losing. Not only just losing, but being driven out of the industry, especially in Japan, but I think worldwide, because Snoys don't want to accept the fact that like Sony's original advantage of being like a much bigger company than Nintendo and being able to like localize games all over the world simultaneously and like throwing all these marketing budget money around, it's not working anymore. Like, people don't buy into like the narratives like they used to. I'm gonna have to like to make a video about that, like the decline of like PlayStation's brand image. But like, people have had enough with PlayStation and their nonsense. Like, people have lost interest in their games and their ideas. Like, PlayStation is done, and Nintendo has retained its status as the best company in the gaming industry.